Hello guys, in this video I'd like to show you how to get started with Bootstrap library with the .NET Web project. We are going to use a Blazor WebAssembly as a web project and the Bootstrap 5 just to show you the download process and how we can compile the CSS files and to the CSS files. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to create a new project, create a Blazor web app, and then just run and see what it looks like. Okay, so if you view the page source, you can see there's a Bootstrap version 4. So you're gonna use a version 5 for the demo. And yeah, so let's look at the project structure. So if you look at the root www root folder, in this CSS Bootstrap right there, so that's version 4. So we can just delete that, and just let's delete that as well. Also, once you delete that, the next thing we need to do is obviously download the files. I've already downloaded the files. If you want to download the version 5, just go to v5.getbootstrap.com and then just go to the download section and you just download that. So once you download that, you're gonna get once you extract the zip file, you're gonna get to that. So just go to the dist folder and grab the JavaScript file. So there's many files there. The one that we are interested in is the Bootstrap.bundle. We could also use Bootstrap, but the thing is, Bootstrap.bundle has all of the scripts that are required by some of the components, Bootstrap components. So I'll just go with the main version of Bootstrap.bundle, and then we don't have a JavaScript folder here, so I'm just create one and just paste it there. So we have a JavaScript file. Now we need a CSS files. To do that, just go to the CSS folder there. Just copy all of the CSS files and copy inside the Bootstrap. So remember we had a CSS file before, so we're going to replace that with all of the CSS styles. So what we need to do next is to compile these different components into a one style set, right? So if you look at the bottom here, there's 4 different Bootstrap files, and this Bootstrap.css has all of the components. You could also use grid, reboot, or utilities if you don't need some of the components. Yeah, that's optional. So we're going to use Bootstrap.css for the demo. So what you're going to have to do is we're going to right click that and we're going to web compiler, go to web compiler and compile. So if you don't have web compiler, you won't see that. So to install that, go to extensions and manage extensions and look for a web compiler and just download that. You might need to restart the Visual Studio before you use it the next time. So once you have the web compiler ready, what you're going to do is right click that, go to web compiler and just to compile. The reason for doing this is once you click the compile, it's going to create a new folder, new file for you, called compiler config.json. You could actually create manually, but I thought this is easy to get started. So I'll just delete what's just created there, so it actually compile that that CSS file. So I'm just going to delete that for now, because we might want to compile that in a different folder or different file name or something like that. So we just want to separate the framework specific components out of our out of the app ones. So now what we need to do is I like to create a I like to have a bootstrap.css in that CSS folder. To do that, what I can do is in the compiler configuration we have output file and input. Its input is the SAS file, so and the output is the compile. So if you look at that folder structure, it's www root /css, so which is there. So we're just gonna create right there. So we're gonna delete extra folder there, and we'll just call it bootstrap.css. Once we save that, it's gonna create a bootstrap.css right there, and close that. Or if it didn't generate any CSS file, what you could do is right click that and then just recompile all files. So what it does is it actually goes through each of these different mappings and then compile that to a file that you mentioned there. And to auto compile, what you could do is just right click web compiler .json, go to web compiler and enable compile and build. So once you build that, it'll auto compile that. Now we have bootstrap.css, and if we change anything around here and compile that, it will be compile it will compile that CSS into a this file, and now we can use that in our index.html. So before we use that, let me show you something that we can do to separate a different framework in the app styles. So what I normally do is in this folder I create a new item, and let's call it a we'll call it a main.css, and then so this is our main.css, and what we're going to do is we're going to import the bootstrap, not the min. We're going to import bootstrap CSS. So what it's going to do is it's going to import all of that and just compile it once, and I'm going to get another style there. So let's call it a my app dot, or we'll just call it a site, whatever, SCSS, and then what we're gonna do is we might have some of the overrides there, like body, or, background color to red. Let's call it important something over there. Anyway, so we have the site.css and we have the main.css. In the main.css we're gonna import another file. I don't know why it's complaining, didn't have a comma there, or just not too sure there. Let's have a look. Here's one of the samples. Oh, you need that thing there. So and that'll be what is the name of our site.css, right? Cool. Now what I have here is a main.css file that imports bootstrap components, and our site.css is going to override that bootstrap thing. So this could be our application styles that we want to override. And now the next thing to do is to remove that, and rather create from the main.scss and compile that into a we could just name it anything, but I'll just name the same as the SCSS. So let's just save that. What's going to happen is it's going to create a min.css file there, because they're in the same folder. The Visual Studio, they group them together to make it easy. We could delete that because we're going to compile that into min.css, right? Min.css there. So this one has the Bootstrap framework styles and overridden by our own style. So you can see there. That's the one that we define in site.css. That's all done. Now the last thing we need to do is go to the index.html and define our new styles. So that'll be css.min. We will have the minified version. Let's close that. And the JavaScript would be script, and the source would be the JS folder and the bundle one. Okay, so once I save that, let's run the project, and let's go to that's the Blazor one. As you can see, the background is red. We have got one min file, so that has the Bootstrap and also our own custom background color there, and that's CSS, and also the JavaScript obviously. So we have all this Bootstrap JavaScript there. Yeah, that's all. We could use the same process for the other .NET web projects as well. Yeah, so the other way you could use the Bootstrap in .NET project is to use the Nuget package. Let me just quickly show you. Let's delete that CSS folder and also the JS folder, and then we could just go to the Nuget package manager. Let's go to the UI, and that's called bootstrap.cs, and just install that, and just going to do alpha release. So once I do that, as you can see, all the JavaScript files there and CSS files are there. So all I have to do is in here you can actually right click any of these just to give the better idea on the file names. So the input is the same, the output would be that, right? So well, the output would be the Bootstrap .css, but instead of the Nuget, it is coming into our project, so that'll be that. And let's get rid of it for now. And then what you're going to have is we're going to have a CSS. Save that, and then as you can see, just build off that Nuget library, Nuget files into Bootstrap CSS. Yeah, so that's all for the video. Hopefully this give you some better understanding on how to use the web compiler and Visual Studio, and use the Bootstrap with the Blazor or any other .NET web project. Thank you very much.